Recording is on.
Hey everyone, we are in the first week of February. It is the 2nd of February 2023. There's a lot of twos there. And we are on Wallet Scrutiny call number 10. It is the collaboration that we have with the Wallet Scrutiny with Bitcoin Design community. And the goal of this project is to improve the user experience of Wallet Scrutiny. We've got a couple very skilled people here on this call, as I'd like to put it, and we're all just trying to achieve the same mission. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. During today's call, I was thinking, is there anything that anyone in particular wants to discuss? I'm just going to open up my notepad over here in Notion. I can start to maybe make some notes as well. Is there anything that anyone would like to discuss in particular? Any topics on your mind that you kind of really wanting to chat about?
From the design side, I've just been so swamped. I haven't really pushed anything forward. I think the status still is that I need to put together some design specs for the wallet page and the expert opinions that basically say these are designs and can be implemented as is, and everyone's happy with them.
Yeah.
And then we have this big open topic of the homepage that in the last call we had a good time. We broke things kind of wide open with dogs and cats and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of a design discovery. We may also have something, a discussion to be had about our copywriting workflow.
100%.
I think Carp Flautist is kind of looking for maybe a starting point for his work.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, how you usually like to go about these things. And I'm also kind of curious about the status of the moderation guidelines is something we talked about, and also just implementation of those designs. If there's kind of an idea of who's going to do them, timeline, needs, workflow. Like for example, with the Bitcoin Core app, Gerald right now and Johnny, they're in kind of the final stages of implementation. So they have questions come up like, oh, we need a hover state for this button on mobile. What does this look like? What is this icon? Does it change its color when hovering? Just little things that come up. So I'm just kind of curious if how we imagine the implementation process and collaboration to be like.
Yeah, I think that's a good
So
one.
that's a bunch of topics here, and I did not write down any of them.
I've made notes, Christoph.
Okay.
I've taken notes. So copy,
Awesome.
a discussion around the copy and the copy strategy, how we're going to work together. Moderation guidelines. What do you mean by the moderation guidelines?
Remember how in one call we made up this page and I copy pasted some chat GPT stuff in there? It's like how write a content guidelines for expert opinions.
Yeah.
And how to become approved reviewer, I think is the term.
Got you.
And I believe Leo copied that into another document, started editing it.
Yep.
So it's basically, all of these little things that we've done, just kind of follow up, see where we are and how we can tick off one by one, basically.
Yeah, got you. And the last point that you made over here is implementation of designs, who's going to do them, and the timelines I've made. So there's 3 topics here. I'm going to add in another topic, which is UX research results, because I now have the UX research results for the not only the wallet review page, but I also have the results for the grading system. So when you scroll all the way down to the bottom, I got some reviews on that as well. I'd love to share those with you strategically before we actually discuss the copy, because there's a lot of the feedback we got is going to feed in really nice into the copy. And I have a feeling that Carb Fluist will be able to use a lot of the the things that people didn't understand to be able to devise a bit of a copy strategy for wallet scrutiny. So yeah, that's going to feed in really well around the whole copy one. Most of the comments were really around copy, so the copy is going to be a big tiger in this one, in this project. Yeah, anything else that anyone would like to discuss? Leo or Tanner or Ed?
I just want to get started implementing. I think Ed is also ready. I don't know.
Love hearing that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Love hearing that. Um, I'm going to be a little bit, yeah, how can you say, adventurous, and ask if we could begin with the research, because I think it's going to be really nice. I think that Carp Fluis is going to be able to make a lot of sense around the copy direction of the website from what I share. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Is it okay as a starting point? I do want to say, as I mentioned on the last call as well, all of the feedback is, it's direct feedback from users. Sometimes it can come across a bit sharp. This is not feedback from me. I'm literally just taking quotes, direct quotes. We did these usability tests with people to give you an idea. And after doing the tests, I basically turned those videos into transcripts. So long transcripts. I have 5 transcripts. I'll actually share those with you. I'll go ahead and share my screen just to give a little bit of background. Yep. So I have a folder here in a Google Drive, which is called test transcripts. And in here, I have all of the 5 tests that we did. It's complete. It's the complete test transcript of everything that everyone said. And basically, what I did was I went into. I have another folder here called private. So this one will be publicly shared. This is the one where I was making notes. I was collecting observations. And this is the one where I started to highlight stuff and pull my insights out of. So I basically, I essentially copied and pasted exactly reviews word for word of what people said while doing the review. So everything that I share with you is not my opinion, but rather that of the people that we did the test with. So I've put everything in there, and then I have the findings here, which was really interesting. One of the questions that we asked people in these interviews was, what would you, if you were to open up Google in front of you, what would you, what kind of words would you type into Google if you were to want to understand the security of a wallet? And these are the words that they said. They said they would type in Bitcoin wallet comparison. They would type in Blue Wallet versus MUN security comparison. So 2 wallet names and then the word security comparison. They would type in custodial versus non-custodial. They would type in secure Bitcoin wallet, or they would type in how secure is wallet name. So these are words that people seem to be using every day to understand wallet security. So that was quite interesting. This piece of information, and then also the search methods they were using. I didn't finish off this bit, so I'll go jump straight into my document here. Which
No, just on that slide, sorry to interrupt, but was the Bitcoin wallet comparison the most popular search? Or was it the more specific ones?
Yeah, the word comparison came up quite a lot. The word comparison. I can, if you would like me to double check that, I can. I just go jump into the test transcripts and I can look up the word comparison and see how often that comes up.
No worries. I was just curious if I would imagine there's more traffic on just compare all the features of all the wallets instead of just more specifically on the security. But no, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I mean, I think it's great that you ask questions. I think that it would be interesting to have a discussion around how that would feed into the SEO of the website, because I think you guys want to be found, so that could feed into how you're found based on what people are typing in. So the search methods that they were using, I didn't add that into the slides yet. I didn't have time to add it in just yet, but most people were tending to make decisions on wallets to use by using YouTube, Twitter, and recommendations from authorities in the Bitcoin space. These are direct quotes from people. BT Session does reviews on YouTube. They'll listen to a podcast or a technical tutorial. I think it was mostly from Twitter.
Corto.
Sorry.
I had like 10 seconds of silence here. Sorry.
Some people said that they mostly heard stuff from Twitter. Some people said they searched Reddit. I guess, I watch a lot of YouTube podcasts, YouTube videos probably. And then BTC sessions was another one that came up. So people are using other methods to make these decisions. And these are the words that they're using. This is the words that's coming top of mind when they're thinking about security in a wallet. Comparison, secure, and how. That's how they're thinking. I'll move into this page. This was more an observation just from me, and it's possible that there might be something that I don't understand. But when I pulled up the analysis of two different wallets, Blue Wallet and then Mun Wallet, I noticed over here that one of them said, one of the informational areas underneath said, is this product self-custodial? But then the other one said, is the published binary matching the published source code? So one is referring more to custodial and non-custodial. The other one was more referring to reproducibility. I was just wondering how that came about with the reviews.
So, if I may explain, this has to do with the linearity of the methodology. So the methodology asks, is this a self-custodial product?
Mm-hmm.
And you picked the one wallet that is the most contentious in that aspect, because they don't advertise to be custodial in a certain subpart of the wallet. So you can have custodial and non-custodial accounts. And because they don't show you when it is custodial, I rated it as a whole custodial. And when it is custodial, we don't continue probing for other aspects of the wallet. So we don't ask if it is reproducible if the money is already with the custodian and not with you or your wallet. Yeah. So that's just that we stop at one of the verdicts, and then we say, okay, at what stage did we fail to give it a thumbs up? And here we failed to give it a thumbs up on the custodial aspect, so we didn't explore more.
That's a good note to make. So the current reviews is actually showing where in your process the wallet failed to meet the criteria. So if it meets it in stage 3 of the process, it stops there, and that's what's present on the page.
So as Christoph suggested, instead of having just that first question that got answered with a no,
Mm-hmm.
we should present all the questions that led up to it, and the others that we didn't ask because we dropped out before of that. Yeah. So the new design that he suggested was basically pulling the methodology into all the wallet reviews and showing all the stages with fold out, and you see
Mm-hmm.
a headline, and here it's green, there down it gets red because it failed with those tests.
That makes a lot more sense, because I didn't, I this was more of an observation. I thought, oh, that's a little bit confusing. I don't understand if I'm comparing, if I want like more like an apples and apples comparison, this wasn't making much sense to me. But I'm sure Christoph's design solves this this problem.
I mean, it would then be maybe interesting to have this compare product A with product B integrated like many comparison websites do, like have a heads-on comparison of those, and we could generate like the two complete lists of features, and so the user can see, oh, that one gets to question 5 and the other one gets to question 8.
Mhm.
And this would kind of feed into the new design we're talking about, where we have each kind of feature or aspect that'll be the same kind of list for each wallet, but different verdicts. And then you can click on, I would assume, you can click on one and say custodial, and you get the full, and then it takes you to the page with the full write-up on custodial or reproducible.
Yeah, what it means. Now I'm going to move on to the rest of I'm going to move on to the wallet review page. I'm just pre-warning, some of the feedback is really sharp. So just a heads up about that. So this is the review of the page. So some of the comments were, first of all, I have no idea what it means by reproducing the binary. It makes no sense to me. One person commented that this seems like gibberish to me. Another person said, I don't know what a binary is, and I also don't know why it's so important to reproduce it. Maybe it says something here. And another person commented is that the first thing that they noticed was that the review was outdated. So that was why I was like, this feedback would lead in very much to the copy strategy, which we can discuss. Because yeah, this was basically in general the feedback around the individual the wallet review pages. So I'll move on to the next one. This is also the wallet review page, but then it's the bit of text underneath it that says do your own research. One person commented, and that says do your own research. I've come to this website for you to do my research for me. If I'm coming to review to see like wallet reviews, I don't understand why you're asking me to do my own research. So that was a bit of a straightforward comment from another person about this do your own research section. So we might want to think about that as well. And here is the current design of the wallet review section. So it's a bit hard for me to choose the most secure, while it doesn't tell me the recommendations for which is like the top chosen one and why. Reproducible, no, not really. I've never come across that word before. Build error, no source custodial. I mean, these are all possibly important categories, but the way they're down, or that's the correct word, they're just like small words here. Another person said, I don't really think I would really understand all this here directly in your face. All of these categories are not really intuitive. I guess all these other subcategories, there are basically a lot of noise, which is what another person commented. And yeah, that's it. As I mentioned, it was quite sharp, the feedback, but it definitely brings back some interesting discussion points around copy and yeah.
It definitely feels like it confirms a lot of what we already thought, or at least what I already thought.
Yeah. 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 It's the copy is going to be one of the really important parts of the entire website: usability, understanding, trust of the website and the reviews.
Yeah,
So-
I imagine. Sorry, go ahead, Leo.
So you said people look at the drop down from the wallets grid, as I call it, and I often was tempted to remove a lot of noise, as you said, from that list, because, for example, if it's no Bitcoin wallet, then it doesn't have to be in that grid view. I don't need to know that the project was looking into 141 apps that were not wallets. Yeah. So But still, people have questions about these apps. So they say, "Oh, why is there not, for example, MetaMask? Where is MetaMask? You didn't even
Yeah.
look into MetaMask."
Yeah.
And they could use the search feature to find MetaMask, and then they would find the analysis that would say, "No, MetaMask doesn't support Bitcoin." So yeah, the question would get answered, but they wouldn't get confused by having it in that dropdown. The same would apply to. I mean, I'm proud of the high number. Like there is, I mean, all Android apps is 3,348. That's impressive, but it's not useful for the user when he's searching for a certain product, and it's not useful to when he finds that there's 200 products that are just where wallet scrutiny doesn't apply because it's not about Bitcoin or not even a wallet. And when we have the 1,450 that have few users that are by our own metric not relevant, then there's also few users that really care about those. So we could make all those disappear. We could make all those that are that have the meta verdict defunct or meta verdict obsolete or what's the one stale. When they didn't update in a year or didn't update in 2 years, we could put all those out of this metric, so out of this dropdown,
Yeah.
and not show the gray ones and just show the ones that are in color, that are not outdated, etc. And when people look for us one specific wallet, they can always use the search feature. I don't know
Yeah.
what you think about that.
Yeah. The search feature was really highly used. Very, very. That was the primary method that people were using to search
But
for.
users that are already Bitcoin users that already have a Bitcoin wallet,
Yeah.
so they were mainly interested in what is their, how does their own product stack up
Yeah.
against others, and so. But users that have no experience with Bitcoin yet and they want to pick a wallet, they might be more interested to look for the top wallets.
Yeah.
But there, it's okay to not list the defunct ones, and it's okay to not list the stale ones. So
You know,
Yeah, and
oh, please go ahead.
I was just going to say on that point, that's why I've always kind of been partial to the list view, which I know kind of approaches the idea of ranking, which we want to stay away from. But I just think having, a list of, of all the most popular wallets, at least, instead of kind of the tiles, allows for the user to explore more wallets quickly just on the landing page, and they can scroll through. And then if, they don't see theirs in the top, or we want to stay away from top 50 and stuff like that too. But I think a list view with just kind of summarized, maybe not even all the verdicts, maybe when we move to expert opinions, it's just those metrics next to each one. I feel like that would expose to, a novice kind of, okay, here's some of the ones they've reviewed. I see mine on this list or I don't, and then I can go to search.
Mo, I have a question here. So this drop down by default says reproducible. If people say they don't understand the term reproducible, really, what do you think is the mental model for this drop down? For example, alternative wording for reproducible could be past all tests
Mm,
or something like that, where
I like that.
it understand from those three words, you understand there was a series of tests, and these are the ones that passed all, which indirectly means that those must be good ones. And then if you expand the drop down, then you look at, okay, these other ones did not pass all the tests, and then maybe you understand like, okay, this one's like obfuscated or something.
That is, I'm going to write that down. That is perfect. Pass all tests.
I mean,
That,
it's just an idea, but I was just wondering if, because people said I don't understand what reproducible means, which means that they're not quite sure. They're looking at this drop down, potentially trying to figure out like what are they working with here.
yeah, yeah. That's a really good one. That will feed in very much into the copy strategy, and then I'm going to tug at Carp Fluis here because now that I've shared the UX research, I'm curious from you and Christoph what you guys think might be a copy strategy with this website, and how we can go through it very systematically, and try to think about, really attacking it from bucketing everything into copy that needs to be done, and pages and that kind of thing.
So usually, like copy goes first in most web design, since it gives the designer content to design around. But in this case, because it's so interactive, I think the interactivity actually forces design to go first. In the case of like what copy will actually live on the website, you have to take into account the fact that the existing Wallet Scrutiny website, we think when Mo, with the document you created for me, had something like 6,000 words on it, like unique words or whatever. So we actually already have a lot of content. It's just figuring out what among that content we want to keep, and then polishing it so that it captures what it's already capturing, but in a friendly, more approachable way.
Got you. So as a first step, you think it might be a good idea to go through page by page of the website and then have a discussion together around, okay, well, maybe this stays and that goes, or maybe that bit of copy links out to there, maybe something's repeating on a certain page. So first start with, let's look at everything we have and let's see what we can take away.
Yeah, because at 6,000 words, it's a monster.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely huge, like a very long Wikipedia article,
And as a second step, we reword the copy that we've decided to keep.
Yep.
Okay.
That works better for me too, because I don't have the technical chops to fully understand everything within Wallet Scrutiny and how it works.
Yeah.
So having the ability to just have what's already been written by an engineer or a developer or a PM, and then just to be able to cherry pick things from it is very valuable.
What are your thoughts, Christoph?
Yeah, that sounds good. I was also wondering, and I don't have it fully thought out, if there's kind of the homepage copy, the introductory, which is just framing the project as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the more functional copy, like the one we just talked about, which is about understanding the UI that I'm currently interacting with.
Mm-hmm.
And you arrive on the website, you just kind of want to understand what you're actually talking about, and then you make your way through. And at some point, you're pretty much just in the realm of this UX copy, which is more functional and practical in a way. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can split those two up in a way as well.
I think Christoph has a good point, because it feels almost like it's a bit related what Carflu said as well, because Christoph, the terminology discussion that's used for reproducibility and binary, it almost feels like there might need to be a little bit of a terminology discussion, where we kind of open up the floor to what could be potentially more user-friendly words for those terms. And maybe once we have those, that feeds into the UI designs. And then once we have those terms, then that's where Cartfluous can come in and be like, okay, I have the general list of terms now that we're using for X, Y, and Z. And maybe that'll help feed very easily back into then rewording the copy on the page.
Yep, that seems fine to me.
Yeah, it seems like there might be an exercise of taking the main words that are not being understood by people, reproducibility, binary, and just in a Google document, maybe kind of thinking of what could be more human-friendly words that we could come up with as solutions to those. Like as Christoph said, reproducibility could mean pass all tests, for example. And then we could maybe run those through Leo and Ed and Tanner and the team, and see what you guys think about some alternative terminology, alternative words for that. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I'm down.
Yeah.
Is it best to kind of have a working session where a couple of people
It can, as long as we don't have the expectation that the copywriter will be able to produce any copy during that session, since traditionally copywriting or writing in general is not a team sport.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about the best, workflow for moving forward. And sometimes it's good to do things solo. Sometimes it's good to work together. Sometimes, other things work better.
I feel like in terms of like what I can do is maybe I can start off with a Google document. I can just hop onto Wallet Scrutiny and I can literally just pull out any word that for me as a non-technical user doesn't make any sense. So I'll just have a scroll through and I'll just pick up some words that are not making sense, and then put those in a Google document, and then maybe we can. I feel like Christoph is really good at coming up with word alternatives, like how he came up with pass all the tests for the word reproducibility, and then maybe Christoph and I and Carpfluis can all just jam in that Google document and try to think of word solutions.
Yeah,
We can just use that Google Doc that we already started on with the just try to keep it in one place.
Yeah.
no, I think that's a good idea. I would also say that that's not passed all tests is not a replacement for reproducibility.
No.
In the context of a wallet grid where I'm trying to sort by different properties, it makes sense in that
Yeah.
context. But in other contexts where we're actually within the security review, reproducibility is needs to be replaced with something else, with the actual meaning of that term, not kind of within the framework of a security review methodology, and you just want to know which one did best without having some type of good, bad, star rating.
Yeah.
You just want to have like a factual statement. This is the one that made it all the way through. So it's a little bit different in Google Docs. We're going to be a little bit removed. We'll be able to get some stuff done, but the final tweaks will always have to be done within the context of the either design or the website itself.
Yeah, I think, and not to just be this topic, but no, I think the workshop will be a good idea. But I think, in general, we'll probably end up with something like, layered exposure to details.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine when we roll out expert opinions, that'll probably be probably move to the front of that layered stack of details, because people just, from the comments, they just want to know if it's secure or not, and if experts, quote unquote, agree with that statement. And I think for all the flaws with Amazon reviews and things like that, I think that's what people look at first. So I think that's a way to kind of progressively, and then they can click into the details of all these different terms that they may not know.
That's a brilliant solution. I was just thinking, we can also definitely cater for the both audiences. Maybe there is obviously an audience that understands binary and reproducibility. So it's not saying that we get, with that those terminology disappears. Maybe it's something that there could be a reference section in the website of terminology. So if they would like to reference back to the terminology that's easiest for them, they can always refer back to to the word reproducibility if they want. So yeah, I'm down for having a copy session. I think that's a good idea from Christoph. Everyone works together and tries to think of word solutions and that kind of thing. Any other thoughts, Carl Fluist, on?
Were you sorry, I had it crapped out here for a second and I had to reconnect. Were you suggesting a glossary?
I am. What do you think of that? You think we should have that or not?
I think if you're doing a good job as a copywriter, you don't need a glossary.
Got
It's
you.
pretty bad. It's pretty bad UX. It's like
Okay.
you have to.
Well, are you suggesting a glossary for the site or just for ourselves as a group?
Well, for ourselves as a group, I don't care.
Yeah.
But for the site, no, I don't want people having to hop around or scroll all the way down or smash a link or whatever the case is.
No, but it doesn't need to be scrolled all the way down. We could have the glossary, like we could have those special words replaced by something clickable that generates a pop-up with the glossary article embedded in wherever the user is encountering the complicated word.
That's still to me a less than best case scenario.
Of course.
Gotcha.
No, I was just for ourselves. I was more wondering if the people who write these security reviews, that they use consistent language throughout, more kind of a, I don't know, what do you call it, editorial style guide or something.
And that's the next topic that Christoph wanted to discuss, which is moderation guidelines. Moderation guidelines, content guidelines for expert and how to become a reviewer. And that was a bit that Leo kind of shared. So, yeah, maybe we can open up the discussion around the moderation guidelines as well that Leo created.
Yeah, I don't think that's a super high priority. I was just kind of curious where around the process on that. I guess just a quick follow-up.
I think I would keep it quite vague, because if you put some limits, then people that want to troll, they just push to those limits, and of course there should be some guidelines on how to write a good review. But if somebody deliberately tries to abuse those reviews, then I think it will always lead to removal of the accreditation and or blocking of certain articles or users in the experience within Vault Scrutiny. But I'm not sure if we need to be very specific about all things that, like, we don't need a list of bad words that are not allowed in the reviews or something like that. But we could keep it general and say, okay, please keep it civil, and we will moderate at our own discretion.
Yeah, you know, the way you treat that is you don't list a series of bad words. You just have a filter. So when someone writes "this sucks," you just replace the word "sucks" with "is amazing," and then people will just have fun with things.
Christoph, there was another one that we were. I think it was around the actual terminology of the word expert opinions itself, and maybe kind of opening that up a bit more. I don't know if you wanted to share your thoughts on that.
Oh, yeah, that was a quick discussion we had. So I was wondering if it should be called, so it's called expert opinions, but in there we have approved reviewers. And I don't have to be an expert to post there. I can be a total non-expert. So I'm wondering if it should be just called reviews. And then the approved reviewers are basically, that's the indicate. And I have a filter in here. Yeah, I could view all or only by approved reviewers. So that's kind of indirectly the experts there. So I don't know. I was just playing and thinking about that language there, because if it says expert opinions and anyone can post stuff, then it's not really expert opinions. But the approved reviewer label, that becomes the expert opinion then.
Yeah, I was thinking about not calling it expert, but peer, so that we have the reviews and we have the peer reviews. Like, we have user reviews, but if the user happens to be a peer wallet developer, then it is a peer review. But yeah, removing anything that puts those unaccredited reviews on a pedestal is probably good. I agree with calling it just reviews. That's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a good method too. The one question I think we're gonna have to answer, just as a methodology thing, is how much to weight um, the approved reviewers versus the public, because we don't know how much, I guess, noise we're gonna get yet. Because we definitely don't want to, like, the filter is a great option, but without the filter, we don't want to just completely screw up the signal with all the noise, which we just don't know how much of that we're going to get. So I imagine it'll probably be an iterative process as we learn. We should think about the moderation strategy beforehand, but I think it might just be an iterative thing as we learn how much signal to noise we're getting in the reviews.
I think we should start with non-accredited being visible by default. And once we see there is an issue with that, we switch to accredited by default. And of course, if spammers are quick to react, they will force our hands quickly. But maybe it works for a while that we get some reasonable feedback for a while before, because we won't have any accredited users from the start unless we have like a soft launch where we get accredited opinions before we launch the feature publicly. That would be ideal, but I don't know if we get the people on board to do those.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a nice suggestion, I think. I really like that suggestion of moving away from calling it expert. I think Christoph also mentioned something about if someone would post, let's say someone posts 3 normal reviews, and then after a while their reviews are quite good and quite good with explaining their logic and their thought process behind why they gave a particular review, then maybe they would automatically, after providing 3 or 5 not good reviews but decent reviews, then they would automatically get maybe something like not an expert review, but something like now
super reviewer.
a super reviewer. Yeah, now we trust your reviews. You're not just coming in here and spamming with something that comes from no
It's
knowledge.
interesting too, because there's a corollary effect that when you call somebody something like super reviewer, they start wearing it like kind of like a badge, and they start taking it very seriously because
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, I'm a super reviewer." It's that same thing that happened to Yelp with like certain people when Yelp started giving out like elite reviewer badges or whatever.
Yeah.
People turned it into like second jobs.
And on the other hand, you have such a good point, because on the other hand, that might also then invite more people and invite enthusiasm, because they'll be like, hey, if I do 3 reviews on Wallet Scrutiny, I become don't have to use the term super reviewer, but I become a super reviewer. So then the review section will just be like, people will just be like posting and adding in, and that's what Leo wants. So
the color could change based on the number of reviews they've given too. Like there could be like I'm thinking like Zelda, a green, like a blue and a red badge or something, for the total number of reviews you've gotten or done rather.
That's a nice one.
And we tell the users 3 more reviews and you get into the green category or something.
You could actually see this like rolling. I mean, assuming we do it right, you could actually see this rolling up into people's like Twitter profiles too, where people will say like Wallet Scrutiny, like super reviewer, and people might you could even imagine people putting something like that on a job resume. Like if they're trying to break into Bitcoin, they're like, oh, I've written reviews for over 100 different wallets, so I definitely know what's out there in the space.
It's a good idea from Carfluence, because it's a bit of a psychological play, I mean, Leo wants there to be as many of these reviews as possible, because that's what people are expecting on such a website. And at the other end, it's almost like a reward for taking their time and then getting that official, not validation, but we trust your reviews now because you've been consistent.
There's the other aspect. We have to control for the quality of those reviews, and I was thinking of having paid up and down votes, but on the other hand, I wouldn't mind the reviewer actually getting some of the upvote shares back. So if somebody donates to a review, then they could get not 100%, because then they can upload themselves for free. Yeah, but if 70% goes to the reviewer and 30% goes to Wallet Scrutiny, and if they downvote, then all the money goes to Wallet Scrutiny, and it counts maybe X3 in the weighting because if he donates to himself, it's free or it's almost free again. So So you could cheaply compensate any downvoting by upvoting himself, as long as it's like low budget voting. Usually those are like, the first ones will be top when they have 100 satoshis donated. So it's cheap to just get there to donate to themselves. Yeah. But maybe once this gets going, there could be a revenue stream for Wall Scrutiny, but also for the reviewers that do a lot of reviews.
Interesting.
Complicated.
Christoph, what are your thoughts? You're silent.
Just soaking it in.
It's a lot.
The first thing is, let's just get the basic version of this thing working at all. Get some people to use it, then let's see. Let's put. I talked to Mo about this too. I have this list of good ideas to come back to for pretty much everything that I work on, and getting back to the basics there.
Yeah.
That would be an amazing future to get into. I know some of this tipping stuff, with Lightning and in Ostrich, people are doing all kinds of design experimentations. Stacker News is playing around with these things. It's really interesting. I do hope that some of this really bears some fruit and becomes viable. But yeah, it's for me right now. It's a little bit too far out.
I think we start simple and then build out from there as we kind of learn about the usage. It's kind of how I'm thinking about it.
And coming back to what very relevant to what Christoph just said, the fourth point that we had to discuss today is what is it? I have it over here.
Sorry, I think Carp Flautis was trying to say something too.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Hear me out. Okay, first of all, this is an unusual meeting because I haven't made any jokes yet. But But I think I just had an idea, which is, okay, you were trying to do an ostrich. You know how an ostrich buries its head in the sand? What if the ostrich is burying its head in someone's project? It's scrutinizing
it. We could have the ostrich head within a leather wallet or something like that.
Yes, something like that. Or like some cogs or something. So I don't know, something. You were trying to do an ostrich. I don't know how that came to me, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Worth a shot.
I think we lost. I think I killed Christoph with the quality of that idea.
It's incredible. Anything with ostriches, maybe put a saddle on them too, so I can at least think about riding them.
I'm not sure how long the ostrich meme will survive, but it's a Noster thing.
Carp Fluist, can you just run that idea again? I'm just going to make some notes. Could you just repeat that again, please?
I can't believe somebody wants me to repeat that. we were just because. Well, first of all, is the ostrich an ostrich thing?
It's a Noster thing. Like I think it's a Nostrich.
Okay. Because I saw Umbral using a purple ostrich AI thing the other day. All I was saying, Mo, is that we were talking about wanting to do an ostrich, and instead of an ostrich burying its head in the sand, it's an ostrich burying its head in your project. So
let's get those AI tools rolling.
Visualize in a wallet or a series of cogs or something like that to show that it's inspecting or scrutinizing.
I was not very successful with Midjourney and leather wallets. Whatever ideas I gave Midjourney for leather wallet designs, it was putting my idea on a leather wallet as a print, and I couldn't get it. And it's happening again with the ostrich. So I said, okay, purple ostrich sticking its head into a leather wallet, and I'll share what I got with you. Wait a second. It's pathetic. Midjourney is not good.
Carp Flust, your brain amazes me. It's just, I'm so glad Christoph was like, no, he needs to talk. Goodness, so good, so good.
I'm a little concerned that the ostrich is co-opted by Nostr.
Did you guys see the images Leo just shared?
That is fascinating on
It's
several levels.
Midjourney doesn't understand natural language very well, I think.
I'm literally speechless.
It's amazing how easy it is, but when you want to get a specific result, it can be very frustrating.
Yeah, I'm realizing that with saving Satoshi also, I'm writing a whole, I don't know, like 10 paragraphs to describe a scene in order to get what I want, getting very detailed.
Yeah.
But there are two AI geniuses on this call, aka Christoph, aka Carbfluist. These guys have been playing with AI for a fair amount of time. I feel pretty confident that between the two of them, if we want a very specific image of an ostrich scrutinizing a Bitcoin wallet, it's going to come up between or Christoph or Carbfluist. I feel
I
pretty
think
confident.
I don't know if we should put it into the website, but for launching the feature, like we have Nostr integration with wallet reviews.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome to have an ostrich sticking its head into a wallet.
Love it. Love it. Okay. We have 5 minutes. I'll just touch on the last question. The topic that Christoph brought up was implementation of designs, who's going to do them, and timelines. That was the last point that he brought up.
Leo, I think that one's for you. Do you have any, as a project lead, do you know who's going to implement them, when to start, what's needed to start, these types of things?
I think it will be on me, and as however much Ed wants to help, but yeah, I don't see anybody else doing the design stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't sure since you had mentioned hiring someone for the expert opinions and whatnot. So how do you know, I usually like being involved in the development process, to answer questions, to give feedback, to help test things and whatnot. There are always some questions that come up, right? But how do you personally like to go about these things?
I think we can like try to develop as far as we get and stage it somewhere, so then we get feedback from you guys again. But as a first, we would need to agree what part of the copy needs. I mean, we'll take off Figma as much as there is right now, and I don't know if you are finished or if you want to mark stuff as finished and or something you want to work on right now to improve the copy or something. But if we could agree on starting with certain design implementations, then we would just propose this in a staging environment so we can try it out before launching it publicly.
Yeah, so something I definitely need to put together are mock-ups for mobile layouts and potentially tablet sized, just to show how things move around there. That's usually something that comes up. And then also, if you just want to do a round of, and once I've done that, maybe you can do a round of just looking through it and just thinking about implementation, and then just, you're going to have like 20 questions or so, or considerations, or things you want to discuss with Ed, or whatnot. Stuff always comes up. And then maybe do another round of design tweaks and then go to implementation. I think that might, because talking through these things ahead of time always saves time, development time, and back and forth in the end. It's like that 1 minute of planning saves 10 minutes of doing type of deal. So that's something that I like to do, but it's of course also up to you how you'd like to go about things.
If I may, I think if there are any parts, Christoph, that you like to see developed, sort of if you want to lead a timeline, like if there's anything you'd like to kick off the development with, you can, I suppose, mark it in Figma. We can build it out, and then through a series maybe of just commits on that development branch, we can move forward on that, if that makes sense. Like all the commits just go to, as Leo was saying, to a staged version of the site, and then we can give feedback as a commit is pushed out. Or is that not the kind of pace you had in mind?
So I'm totally happy to look at PRs and give feedback there. I think a few weeks ago we had the one thing I'm wondering about is if we restructure the wallet page, this also has to be renderable with the way that the reviews are actually structured in the backend. Right? There might be a mismatch there, and I know nothing about how these things are structured on the back end. So this could be something to evaluate, and if you have thoughts there, so I would almost prefer, because you understand this stuff more, the implementation side. I'm happy if you kind of set the pace and priorities. I can make something up, sure, but that might not be then the most practical to get the work done.
Well, to take an example, your the wallet page that you've mocked up a few times there with the black icons and the things, like something like that. I've sort of already been working over in my mind how it would work. Are you saying if I just kind of start on that, start piecing it together and see if there are any pitfalls with the way all the wallets, how their data is structured, that we can go from there? Like, I suppose we look for problems, and then I tell you, and you see if there's a design change you can make, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And there might be some things might simply not be possible, or some things might you might look at them and then you might realize, oh crap, we have to like restructure 2,000 reviews to render it this specific way. But if we display it slightly differently, we don't have to do that work. There might be these types of little back and forths and compromises and adjustments.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because most of these, they're kind of just in my head. Like when I want to change something, I already think, well, okay, I know that's a limitation of the way the data is structured. But yeah, they'll come up as I start working on.
Okay. That sounds great. That's exactly what I need to do. Basically create a new page in this Figma file that's called version 1 specs or something like that. And then just have one version in there and have all the different states for the different interactive and content components laid out in desktop and in mobile. So they basically can be taken as they are and put into code ideally. And then for those, it would be amazing if you could validate if they can be implemented as they are, or if we need to make any changes. I'm also assuming that there will be some data some states that I'm not aware of, like a certain result of a certain part of the process that I'm not aware of that needs to be mocked up as well. So those things would be good to know too. But otherwise, sounds great. Yep. That's exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, I think Leo's very good at spotting when things don't match up with design and data wise. So I always trust his eyes.
So I just explained before that the verdicts are a linear process. So when you have like in the supply chain mockup, you have those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 bullet points. Those screens would look all the same for all the wallets in the same verdict when it comes to the verdicts. but might get supplemented by if we know the developer as it's marked there, or if we know the website, and we can fill it in there. Yeah, but the structure would be the same. The positive or negatively marked. I mean, is it custodial or not? Yeah, these things would be marked according to the verdict, and then some of those things would just be implied because the question wasn't asked. And I don't know if we should mark the first question as that was answered negatively, which determines the verdict. Would we mark that one red and the others gray because we didn't ask those, because it was in the linear methodology we didn't get to ask those questions? Or should we mark them all red as a consequence of the process dropping out at that one line? Yeah, I think gray makes it more flexible. We make no claim about reproducibility if it's custodial, and the user will understand when they see, okay, up there it's green, 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 here it's red, and below it's gray. Then they understand, okay, this is a linear thing, and when this one is red, then the lower ones are gray, and they could be red, but red is again misleading, so let's keep them gray. And yeah, I don't see a big issue with translating it that way. One question, if you have an idea, because I have a problem with the word custodial, because all wallets are custodial. Some are self-custodial, others have a custodian, but the word custodial appears even in the self-custodial ones. And that always complicates me when I say, oh, this one is not custodial, it is self-custodial. So it's the repetition of this word which complicates me, which I find a bit unintuitive. Like, is it custodial or not when it's self-custodial?
I thought it was more like self-custodial or non. Is it non-custodial? Is that how it goes? I feel like we haven't used this language in a while.
Yes, self-custodial is what we also sometimes describe as non-custodial. But yeah, you are the custodian, so it is self-custodial. That's the correct term. But that makes it confusing if you use the three terms. And yeah, and then there's people that like Blue Wallet who says, no, it's not custodial and that's because they don't want to be legally a custodian, because that makes them have to fill out forms and apply for licenses, and so they don't want to be custodial, and they say, no, it's some software that's controlling the money, it's not us. And I don't know how they try to argue their way out of being the custodians there, but for me, it's important to distinguish, is the money in my cell phone or is it on some server? That's the distinction. And maybe the word custodial really is controversial, so we could find something else that makes it more clear. Where is the money, on the phone or in the cloud?
Yep, that is the one that is being discussed and will probably be discussed over and over and over again. Yeah. I mean, another way to frame it is, where are the keys? Who holds the keys? Which is a third party, or it's you. I mean, there must be other contexts too. If you think about emails, you have you have an email service, which is clearly someone else hosts the emails for you, and maybe you have your own private email. But there might be other things from the real world, from other things we do, the things we know that we could potentially borrow from to avoid this term custodial and non-custodial. It's, the Keeper wallet, they asked a few days ago on Twitter, it's like, oh, should we call it hardware wallet or external signer? And I talked to Anand a little bit about that. And I did a simple test. I went to walmart.com, I went to bestbuy.com, I went to ebay.com, and I typed in Bitcoin hardware wallet, and I typed in Bitcoin or external signer. And for hardware wallet, you get a ton of results that are exactly what you're looking for. You type in external signer, you get nothing. Or signing device. Like, I think Walmart turns it into singing device, and you get like kids' toys for, there's the part about being precise versus being understood. And I think that's what a lot of these conversations are about. Yeah, technically, one thing might be more precise, but if you want to be understood, you have to choose different terms sometimes.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. Thank you everyone for joining. Let me just stop the recording.